I'm frozen. Good morning, everybody. This is Clicking Cliff, or you call me Cliff. This is a Beyond the Clicking Cliff channel. This is a podcast channel, and you listen to a podcast. In case you didn't know, of my life, my experiences, life stories, all that good stuff. Something for you to listen to while you're driving, working, cleaning your room, or just relaxing. Maybe I can give you a smile, something to think about, something just make you go, huh, or hee, or something. I don't know. Hopefully you enjoy it, and that's what I'm hoping. Last week we talked about weather emergencies. I told you some stories about my fire department and kind of situations we found ourselves in and all that good stuff. And this week it's more of an experience. I had a weird week, y'all. You know, we had this storm come through last weekend. Not this weekend. This we see. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before last, I should say. We had a snowstorm, cold, winter burst, whatever they call it. And we still had snow. We still had snow all week, and still the weather has not been above freezing. And guess what? Our pipes froze. And it's been weird. I mean, you know, and what's sad is when this first came down, we made sure we had the faucets running and all that stuff, you know, or dripping so it wouldn't freeze. We were trying to prevent this. Well, I guess the people who get snow all the time are accustomed to this. We are not. But we, you know, subconsciously or not thinking about it, when we use a couple of the sinks, we shut the water off, just pure habit, not thinking about it, and just shut it off. Well, our pipes froze Saturday. I woke up, you know, and thinking, well, crap. Being Saturday, you ain't going to get nobody. And plus, I'm sure there ain't nothing you can do if there's a frozen pipe in the ground. The ground's frozen solid. There's about 4 or 5 inches of snow and ice on top of it. So there wasn't much we're going to be able to do about it right now. So best thing we could have done is go shut the water off, right? Well, we didn't even think about that till today, and as of recording Sunday. We called the water company, and they told us to go out there and check the meter, make sure the meter ain't spinning 100 miles an hour where the pipe is froze. So we did that. We went out there and checked it, and it wasn't running. The thing wasn't running fast. It wasn't even running because it's froze. So maybe we dodged a bullet on busted pipes, but we still are dealing with frozen pipes. So if you'll ever think about this, how luxury we have it. Most of us are indoors, warmth, heating and air, plumbing, indoor plumbing. You know, I told the wife, I said, you know, this frozen pipes set you back in the 1800s where there was no running water in the house, no indoor plumbing. Everything was outdoors, and you had to use Sears Roebucks, you know, and an outhouse, whatever, you know. This takes you back to them days. And I said, man, I'll tell you what, I don't think we would survive back in the Western days where, you know, the person may only have one bath a week or a month, you know, depending on what brothel they were stopped at and they had water. I mean, and so just think about it. Just think of what happens when you have no water. Just think about it. Just, you know, we'll go through a little bit of scenarios. You can't use the bathroom. You can't flush the toilet. Can't take a shower. Can't cook. Can't get a drink of water. Can't feed your animals, dogs and cats and whatever you have in the house. Can't wash your hands. Can't wash your clothes. Can't wash your hair or anything. So it sets you back like crap. And yes, you know, weather emergencies, you know, I did try to plan ahead. We got drinking water. We tried putting water in the bathtub just to have it there in case this happened. We could still flush the toilet, but I didn't realize that our bathtub didn't really hold water that good, so it just went down, and we didn't have no water. And we're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money on bottled water to flush the stool. It's just too much money. So, what are we doing, you may ask? Well, be transparent. This is the only one time that my problem works in my favor because I don't really have to go to the bathroom. I'm a guy, I can go outside to a back tree and do number one. Number two, I do have a colostomy bag, so I don't have to wait in the bathroom. But I do have family that lives here that does. And my mother-in-law has, she's 80 years old. And she's in a wheelchair, handicapped, and she has one of those porta potties. So we've been using that, put that in the bathroom, fix it up where you go, and take it out and get rid of it. Just been a nuisance, and I tell you what, this is not going to happen to us again. I swear to you, it's a horrible feeling. It is. It makes you feel like, golly, man. A couple of things we could have done differently. If we were smart enough to make sure we kept the water running. It's just like I said, I think someone went and got some water to put in a cup or something, and they just shut it off and not even thought about it because it's what we do every day, other than wintertime. Shut the water off. And I think that's what happened. And we woke up Saturday morning like, crap, we got no water. And I know it's only been a day and a half. And good news, today being sunny is recording, a little bit of water is trickling out of the kitchen now. So it may be loosening up a little bit. So hopefully we avoided that danger of frosted pipes or busted pipes and we get back to normal. It's just frustrating. You try to plan ahead, try to avoid situations, and then you make a mistake and it happens to you anyway. It's like, man, what do we do now? This is why I hate this weather. This is why I try to stay out of this weather, try to stay out of its path. I try to live in a place where it don't get much snow, and we didn't get to avoid it this year. So I don't know. Maybe that time has gone and passed. I don't know. But anyway, as of right now, we're working on it. We're getting through. We're getting through it. We went to a family members, took a shower, and we made sure we used the restroom before we left. But did that, got all that done, and came home, and now we do see water come through the like I said, to the kitchen. Bathroom's not loosened up yet, but hopefully it'll get there by this afternoon. We hope, or at some point. We're just hoping it warms up a little bit. Just situations. Have y'all ever found yourself in a situation like that? And you ever think, what did they do before we had these luxuries in the house? Plumbing, indoor plumbing. My dad told me stories when he was young where he had to go fetch water out of the creek, and Grandma had to boil it on the stove so that she can cook and drink and give the children baths. Dad tells me stories that it was a cold. You better make sure you had to go if you had to go to the bathroom because all they had was an outhouse, and in wintertime you had to get bundled up just to go to the bathroom. So Dad said you held it till you couldn't hold it no more because it's going to be cold out there to go to the bathroom. And so he tells me these stories. And, I grew up with indoor plumbing, so I didn't have to worry about none of that. And so I never had to deal with that. And then we come, this week, like, well, Dad, I'm going through it. We do have heat in the house, so that's a good thing. I mean, I think that was my number one concern was electricity. If we lost electricity, that would be troublesome because it would be cold in this house, and But so far, knock on wood, we have electricity. Hopefully, I just didn't jinx that. But we have frozen pipes. I don't, and I remember when I was a youngin', my dad and mom encountered frozen pipes, and me and dad all weekend we took Saturday morning, dig up the line, and then put a new line in, and Sunday cover it back up, and then we didn't know if we did it right because we're not plumbers. Dad did say it was going to cost about $4,000 or something like that, or almost $4,000 just to get somebody in there to do it with machinery to dig it up and replace it and cover it back up. And Dad wasn't about to spend that money, so he said, "Well, I have a couple strong backs," and he was referring to him and me. And that was torturous work. I hated it. It sucked. And and we have frozen pipe. It's not dirt. It's mud because the water's busted, and so you're not digging up dirt. It's mud. So heavier, harder. It turns the wheel into clay-based soil, so it all turned into putty or clay, whatever, and it was hard to dig up. We got it digged up though, and we got it fixed. But I don't want to do it. I can't do that now. I would have to pay that money for somebody to come in and do it because I'm just unable to do that kind of work anymore, and it stinks. But yeah, it was horrible. So I didn't want to think about that. Every time I thought about that, I was getting madder and madder because, like, man, where am I going to come up with that money? Well, so therefore, hopefully, we dodged that bullet today. Hopefully that the water gets thawed out, and we're going to keep them things ripping. I don't care about the water bill. But man, I hate this weather. I hate it. Hate it with a passion. My ideal weather is 70 degrees year round. Maybe 65 on the coldest day of the year. Maybe 80 on the hottest day of the year. But that's it. I don't want to walk out and be instant sweat, and I don't want to deal with frozen pipes ever again. So I guess I'm going to have to. I guess we don't get all what we want, but if I was in charge, that's what I would be. At least in my area. You still can go out and do things and not get overheated and not get cold. And everything be perfect. As perfect can be. I don't know. Hopefully all y'all weather the storm good. Hope y'all didn't have to mess with frozen pipes or anything like that because that sucks. It really sucks. Big kahunas. Don't wish that on nobody. But so anyway, that is what I'm going through this whole week, and it's been a weird week, guys. I'm telling you, it's just been weird. Wife been home, so my schedule's all been messed up. Putting out content's been messed up. Been a little bit late, a little bit early. Couldn't sleep. Stuff on my mind. Like last night, I could not sleep because of the pipes. Like, man, what am I going to do? I mean, as the father and the husband in the house, it's like, dude, it's my job to protect people and my family and make sure they're okay. And this sucks. What am I going to do? It'll work out in the end. It always does. And I keep telling myself that, but still, at the end of the day, it's still stressful and upsetting and aggravating. But we're going to make it through. I'm positive. I got high hopes. We're going to be all right by next week. So y'all need to check in next week and find out the rest of the story. All right, guys. Well, I think this is going to be it at today's podcast of Beyond Click and Cliff. Hope you enjoyed it. My struggles. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please hit that like button down below. Share, subscribe. Tell somebody if you want to hear a cool podcast about a guy just living life the best way he knows how. This is the channel for them. Hopefully. Guys, like I always say, be good to one another. Do unto others what you want to be done to yourself. Be somebody's light and somebody's darkest cloud. Somebody could be having a bad day. A little hello from you can make it a whole lot better. All right, guys. Until the next one. Bye-bye.